our Everglades is dying because of their water quality issues. And our
What
state,
is the source of the water quality issues?
it's a very complicated issue, and it's not one that I'm extremely versed on, I would say. I mean, I definitely know about it, but I don't want to say the wrong things. Overpopulation, too many people moving to Florida.
So it's pollution based? Is that
Pollution based, agricultural based, and the core of it is not allowing the water to flow south how it needs to naturally. So the Everglades is the greatest filter in the entire world. It's a natural wonder of the world. It really is. And right now we are not using it the way we should. There are steps being taken to send water south and to start to restore some of this natural flow. But the problem is, if we restored the natural flow to where it was, Palm Beach all the way down to Miami returns as a swampland.
Oh.
All of the sugar cane, which is huge money, at the south of Lake Okeechobee is swamp and is no longer being able to use for sugar cane. And we see a lot of that, make the decisions in what happens with our Everglades and conservation. It's a lot of corruption, a lot of money driven, rather than we need to set aside this piece of land, have it gather water, treat water, send it south to be filtered through our Everglades, and provide water to where it's dry, clean, healthy water, and then it can be filtered out through the Bay of Florida. We're seeing more where that land's being kept for agriculture or something else, or where a project gets started and then it's lobbied and nothing gets done. We're seeing a lot of just promises not being made as well.
So have they dammed the flow of this water?
Yep. So there's a series of levees and locks that control the water in South Florida. It's controlled by South Florida Water Management. And, they started managing the water 100 years ago or more, I believe, maybe even much further than that. And that's really where we went wrong, is we should have learned to kind of work with the water flow more, and not totally shut it off the way we have and totally made it man-made, which, like I said, they're trying to reverse some of that. They just built a new lock that's going to help send some of the water south through Tamiami Trail and 41, but it's just not enough. We need more water to be filtered and cleaned, and less of it to be dumped out into the estuaries on the east and west coast. This water will remain stagnant, and it'll build blue-green algae, which is actually a bacteria. And this bacteria produces toxins. I believe it sucks up all the oxygen in the water. And I don't know if you've seen these fish kills we've had on the east and west coast, but that's exactly what it's from, is our water management. So it's not just the Everglades, but it's the east and west coast. And that's because they're taking the water that needs to be sent south, cleaned and filtered, and they're sending it out into these estuaries where it kills everything. And it's, they're protecting, which, I'm not blaming U.S. Sugar by any means. U.S. Sugar does a lot to actually help Florida conservation. But it's just kind of a situation we've got ourselves in where there's not a great solution besides, really taking away a lot of this money. And our estuaries are just suffering for it. Our Everglades is suffering for it.
Have they done anything to try to figure out how to mitigate whatever pollutants are getting into the water? Have they tried to figure out some sort of a solution?
I'm sure. I don't know if it's gained any traction, because right now we're having algae blooms as we speak on Lake Okeechobee in different areas. And no, I don't know of any solution to really combat that algae bloom. And especially once they have it, it's the water levels get so high, they have to flow it out.
Is there a way to do this without flooding Miami?
I'm sure there is, but to get it in a way where everyone's happy and on board with it and there's the money to do it is another thing.
But so how did Miami get built? Was Miami originally swamp and they just filled it in?
Yep. The canal systems were able to redirect the water. And, I'm sure which, I don't know exactly how Miami was built, but I'm sure, yeah, they built up on the limestone on the swamp. It's essentially limestone bottom down there. And then they divert the water with these canal systems. And they're able to, send it in areas that's not Miami, or send it through the canals through Miami out into the intercoastal and things along those lines. And they have a series of locks and gates that help control all this. It's very complicated. And, I wish I knew
But
more.
if the natural flow of water would happen, if they just removed all the levees and just let everything flow all the way down, it would flood Miami.
Yeah. It would flood all through it, which, who knows? They've maybe, if you could take away everything they did, all the ground being built up and everything, yes, it would be a swamp.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy when someone sets out to do something to make it habitable for people and doesn't take into consideration that this is just this immense ecosystem.
You'll get a kick out of this. So in an effort to dry up the Everglades while they were doing this, they wanted to dry the Everglades up. They actually, from airplane, released Melaleuca seeds over the Everglades because Melaleuca sucks up water. So now they pay contractors to go out and remove the Melaleuca from the Everglades because it's sucking up all the water.
Oh boy.
It's crazy.
There's so many instances in human history of people putting in a species to try to mitigate another species and having that species run amok, like the Australia situation with the wild cats.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It is.
Well, they have feral cats everywhere in Australia.
yeah.
They've decimated ground nesting birds and they kill everything.
Everything. We see it in Florida. We have feral cats like crazy and they're killing everything.
We saw the numbers. We read the numbers out one day on the podcast about how many animals get killed every year just in the U.S. by feral cats, and it's in the billions.
Mind-blowing.
It's so crazy. They're such little murderers.
I think they've said like 15 to 20 different species are attributed to them being extinct.
Yeah.
Because of the cats.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.